Welcome to Protest by Design, part of Midwest Design Week, and put on by AIGA Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Louisville, and Toledo. For those of you that don't know, AIGA is a nonprofit organization with over 70 chapters across the US, focusing on cultivating our design and creative communities for good. We're so thankful that you're here with us, learning and listening and getting to be a part of this workshop. Midwest Design Week's theme is culture, a word representing our beliefs, shared values, learned behaviors, traditions, and more. We aim to provide inclusive and engaging events focused on the power of design and diversity. We'd also like to thank our sponsors. Without them, we couldn't have put this on. They really care about the creative communities that you're a part of. Also, if anyone requires sign language interpretation, message us in the chat as well. We'll make sure to pin these and make sure you get what you need. As we start the workshop as well, remember that you have the availability to choose gallery view in the top right corner, and make sure to pin Aaron Scamihorn, our workshop leader, his live video while we're doing screen shares, because you're gonna get to see some of what he has in his home office. So finally, I'd like to actually introduce Aaron. Aaron is a designer, illustrator, and artist based in Indianapolis. You may have seen his large-scale works like the Mask Up Initiative banners throughout Indianapolis or the Indiana City Brewing beer labels, or even promos for the Indianapolis Zoo back when like zoos were regularly attended. This October 2nd, Aaron will be hosting a gallery show perfectly titled The Political Circus, focused on the absurdity of our current situation. It also just so happens to be Aaron's birthday today. So give Aaron a wonderful at-home welcome and a happy birthday as we start the Protest by Design workshop. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Aaron.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Get the screen share going here. All right. Everyone seeing slides now? Yeah. So, Protest by Design. I used some branding here that I've used for my art show as well because I enjoy the juxtaposition here of a fairly heavy topic mixed with a little more lighthearted feel. So like Michael said, I am Aaron Scamihorn. I operate my side hustle stuff under the name Ronlewhorn Industries. It's a name that came about from mixing my three names, Aaron, Lewis, Scamihorn, portions of each of those into a word that's very easily Googleable. It's nice that when you search that, you don't find anything else. There are a handful of other Scamihorns out there, surprisingly enough. But what kind of led to this whole thinking and really a deep dive into this whole situation, like Michael said, was this desire to do an art show this year. I've been doing a portrait show every couple years, and it was often called the Ronlewhorn Portrait Show or something along those lines. But as I was coming up to this year, it felt kind of empty and hollow to do something that was just straightforward faces for the sake of faces. So hence spawned the Ronlewhorn Political Circus, which the taglines for that is featuring facts you wish your family believed and how to vote for your best interest. But that show is going to feature a handful of like flyers and stuff that you can hand out to family members, hopefully start some conversations. And as we'll talk later in this presentation, a little bit about how the interaction can often lead to a better result when that's coming from someone close to you rather than a stranger. And then a lot of little subtle political jabs like Trump is a clown, of course. But I also launched a website, acceptfacts.com, which I was shocked that URL was available. But you can go on there and you can find a lot of resources from some of the stuff that I've been researching, some links to share, then also some downloadable assets that you could print out, make signs with, etc. So also starting out, kind of wanted to just straight up own my imposter complex a little bit of like, I don't know why I'm here doing this, but or why my voice would be acceptable in this kind of realm. However, a lot of what I'm talking about are kind of marketing messaging and strategies, which I have been working in that realm for a long time. I'm a senior art director for Borshoff by day. I've worked at a handful of different agencies over the years. So kind of applying some of that marketing science to how we approach language for this kind of political signs, protest language, yard signs, etc. So I wanted to jump in to start right out with an activity. Since this is a workshop, we're not gonna break out yet. We're not gonna get too intense or whatnot, but wanted to start out with just a quick little 5-minute slogan session. I want you to pick a position, a preference, a social stance, whatever that might be. Write a quick slogan that you think might make an effective sign. Could be as simple as like hot dogs or sandwiches. Hot dogs or sandwiches too. Or as intricate as divest and whatever. But in this activity, try to use something you haven't seen before. Just come up with a bunch of random ones, and then at the end of 5 minutes, we'll just throw out some in the group here and see where we're at. I'm going to play a song just so there's not dead air here, and then we can get cranking. Good stuff. All right. Well, that hits our 5-minute mark. That is just a little precursor to start the brain juices flowing. As we move into the first section here. We have 2 more activities we're going to do. We're going to do a breakout in the middle, and then at the end we're going to actually put ink to paper. So yeah, we'll jump back in. Music is paused. Next section, let me hide my chat window. There we go. Okay. Part 1, know your audience. So in approaching this, wanted to kind of break out into 2 different demographics, because I feel like there is this often trope to fall into where you want so badly to yell your views at the other side, whatever that may be. And I think that there's the most chance sometimes for the greatest impact by speaking to some people who might already agree with you. And just a heads up, as I show some examples throughout this presentation, I'm definitely not pulling any punches. I am a bleeding heart liberal snowflake, and owning that with some of the language on here. So hopefully we don't offend anybody. So an example of speaking to your own demographic who already kind of agrees with you is this: talk to your parents about Trump. There's this opportunity to speak to people who might already be in the same realm as you. You're marching down the street. The people who are marching down the street with you are probably already in the same headspace as you. And if you have this ability to help push them to potentially go a little further, take some extra steps, they might be able to make some impact on the others in that space. And another example of that, that everything is fine example, the guy sitting in the burning house. The time to agree to disagree is past. But then on the other end of that, there's those who see things differently. Some examples in that realm. Nothing is trickling down. I think an effective strategy in this realm is to point out the disparity of their perspectives, hopes, goals, whatever they think they're voting for, but they might not actually be getting out of the politicians that they're electing. And giving some context to that dichotomy could help spark some critical thought, hopefully. Another example, they use fear tactics because they think you're scared. Then into part 2, wanted to jump into some science of motivation, trying to change someone's mind and how to go about that. This is some old brain science marketing strategy that if you're curious about, if you search some of these terms we're going to talk about, you can learn a lot more than I'm going to gloss over very quickly here. But it's the idea of speaking to our basis instincts. So you have at the core the old brain, which is instinctual. It's very much a fight or flight process, and it's dealing with survival issues, things like your digestion and your breathing. And then you have the midbrain. It deals with how does this make you feel, the emotional side of things, and then the new brain into the rational, reasoning, logic, processing information. And we have a really close relationship with this new brain because it's talking to us all the time, while our old and midbrains are kind of a little more mysterious because their work goes outside of our conscious awareness. And so the idea to trigger decisions is to go from the inside out. You hit stimulus on the old brain, it's going to immediately process that with, should this thought proceed? Is there an immediate threat? Is there something that I need to worry about and deal with? If it gets past them, it is important enough to deal with. It goes into the midbrain, and that is thinking, hey, is this something worth considering? Is this worth my time? Am I invested in this? And then it goes on to the new brain to make a rational decision. And essentially, the old brain's lazy, picky. It passes decisions on as quickly as it possibly can so it can get back to worrying about breathing and digesting food. So based on that, you have to think, I can't lead my messaging with facts and data because they don't care. It's not going to worry about that. I need to move on to the next thing that's more important. So using that, this idea of triggering a need for self-preservation, our brains have to process so much information every second. Your heart's beating. You got to push your diaphragm up to keep breathing, digest food, etc. You need to compete with those needs in our language to give the old brain the trigger to decide it's something worth considering. And so then applying that triggering of self-preservation, a two-step tactic could be an approach of establishing a pain point, something they're dealing with, something that's stressful to them. If in the realm of protest signs and that kind of language, it should be pretty obvious the pain we're establishing. The goal here is to make sure that it's painful enough that it's worth passing on to the other parts of the brain. But then the opposite side of that actually triggers the action and mind change or self-contemplation is the providing emotional lift. If it can trigger emotional lift and show it a way out of that pain, essentially it's giving the viewer's brain an easy and quick decision and making the old brain happy. Sometimes it's straightforward, sometimes it's implied. And in the realm of a sign, you're obviously limited in terms of the amount of words you can fit on there, and you might have to make the emotional lift side of things a little more implied because you really need to stick it home with the language. And a quick reminder that I said no punches would be pulled. So some examples. First one up, what if that grabbed pussy was your daughter's? The pain is danger to your family. The implied emotional lift is protect your family and getting rid of politicians who would accept and promote this kind of behavior. Another example, you raised us better than this. Audience here is obviously your parents, caregivers. The pain in this situation would be disappointment. And the implied emotional lift out of that would be, let's repair this relationship. Let's fix things so that we can get on the same page again, etc. So on to part 3. Now that we're done with science, just want to talk a little bit about tone. Check your tone might be a little aggressive, but wanted to talk about how tone comes across. So just a quick example here. Which one's more compelling? Fuck off, you tiny-handed orange-faced cunt, or girls just want to have fundamental rights. So obviously, if it's cathartic for you, if you are getting out some anger, some bad feelings, and you need to put out a sign that is like the first one, by all means, you do that. If that's good for you and you're in that moment, awesome. But if your goal at the end of the day is to ideally change some minds, to inspire some action, to make some real impact, it might be worth thinking a little bit harder about your end goals. So I broke this down into 3 sections. There's puns, humor, and then there's tugging at the heartstrings, and then the idea of contrast. So some examples in each one of those categories. One that I recently came up with that I'm so proud of is Great Wall of Angina in the pun category. I love that, if you're not familiar, angina is a heart disease, etc. Joking about Trump's health and also joking about the way he pronounces China. Then on the more tugging at the heartstrings side of things, Donald Trump has assaulted more than 25 women. There's a great article in Business Insider that's extremely hard to read, but extremely powerful, that details each allegation and encounter. And if you're curious about that link as something that you would like to share with family members who think that he's not all that bad, there's a link to it on the resources page of acceptfacts.com. And then the third one for contrast, Jesus was a socialist Democrat. And I've been doing a lot of reading in this space. My head's been far too engulfed in all of this for so long. The contrast side of things, I feel like has been some of the most powerful for me, pointing out the conflict of where people's morals and party alignment don't really get together. And I love this statement because I think it's really pointing out that this person that they're putting all of their thoughts, beliefs, goals, etc. in his core tenets are much closer to democratic socialism than they might assume. And they obviously think that socialist Democrats are probably the worst thing that they could ever imagine. But if you get down to philosophies and life goals and morals, it's pretty accurate. There's, again, some great links on acceptfacts.com that kind of break this down. So jumping into activity 2, if I can find the button, there it is. We're gonna do a 15-minute slogan battle. We're gonna break out into 2 groups and you're gonna collaborate. You're gonna throw out ideas in your group. You got a whole 15 minutes to do it. And we're gonna pick two sides of this issue, regardless of where your personal alignment is, which I think most rational people could probably agree with. I want you to try to look at it from this angle. So taxing the ultra rich versus tax breaks so that they can hopefully pass that profit down to their workers for the trickle down stuff. So pick your audience, like we talked about. Try to think about hitting a pain point. Try to either offer emotional lift or offer implied emotional lift, and then come to a consensus around 3 to come back to the group with. So yeah, Nick is going to help us break out automatically into some groups, and you're going to have a AIGA moderator in each one to help keep you on task, and we'll come back and share them. Part 4, going to jump into technique. Totally aware that most people here are probably designers. Definitely making a sign isn't something that you are unfamiliar with, but just wanted to share some of the things that I've been playing around with and found effective. First up, line weight, obviously super easy to read, comes with big bold letters, but I had to go ahead and include this guy's sign on the left because I thought it was fantastic. This sign would be more creative, but you cut funding for the arts. So the application of the thin line weight actually works in this scenario. And then, of course, I was told there would be Justin Bieber's, just a solid sign. I don't know what protest he was at or what he was marching for, but solid. You're going to go home and you're going to remember it. Then materials. Obviously, we're all getting stuff shipped to our house these days, right? I have a ton of Amazon boxes laying around, but I've been buying a lot of affordable poster board and the corrugated plastic board that you would use for like roadside signs. You can just stab the little metal legs into really easily. Real affordable. You can buy packs on Amazon, but what's nice is then it also comes with a cardboard box big enough for you to pull some panels off of it as well. And then these Molotov markers, cannot say enough about how awesome these are. They're kind of originally made for like the graffiti world of lettering and tagging a bathroom stall or whatever, but just a nice, real sturdy chisel tip that lays down a really nice thick black line. I've also been obsessed with these little ink bottles that just have kind of like a foam dauber tip where they can just lay down a ton of ink really fast and really smoothly. They stay nice and round too, which is awesome, so that really you can do some fun lettering when you're playing with like a script or whatnot. And then I also bought a Cricut machine recently to help make some of these signs for the show coming up. Playing around with cutting vinyl and cutting different materials to adhere to signs real fast and easy and fun. Been enjoying playing with those. And of course, there's the stencil letters. If you're not a person who thinks you can write legibly too easily, there's nothing wrong with a good stencil letter and some spray paint. And then one of the other things I've been loving a ton has been the Kinko's architectural prints. Super affordable. You can print like 3 feet by 4 feet, giant prints for like $7. It's crazy. Then been playing with like Mod Podge to attach those to a sturdier board. Can you see my camera? If you're seeing me, I've done a handful of these. There's a Tucker Carlson piece that says "Fuck your fear," and then a Mike Pence one that is that says "Mother, tell your children not to hear my words." Yeah, those are just super cheap architectural prints. But then also another thing that I've been really a big fan of is non-photo blue pencils. If you're familiar, the like Prismacolor non-photo blue is really solid because if you sketch out onto a board before you start putting ink down with these guys, it's awesome because you really can't see it once you get far enough away. I think I have an example here. I did a Great Wall of Angina. With those materials I just talked about, you can see the chisel marker and ink dauber bottle. But if you look really close, there's blue pencil sketches to kind of lay it out. Another thing I've been a really big fan of, and I don't know if there's any design application for this other than the idea of contrast and breaking up your eye to play with different typefaces, et cetera. Just for more emphasis on the words that are important, as well as not all blurring together, so your message is easier to read from a distance. So those are some of the things that I've been playing with. I think that are super effective. I'd love to jump into some creation here. We're wrapping up near the end of our time here, but if you brought some materials and you've been playing around with some words in some of these breakouts, say we jump into an activity and focus on a little reminder, the ideas of creating a pain and lift, making sure you have a specific audience, setting a tone that's appropriate for that audience, big materials for bold lines and planned out grids as to what most important words are. Then I think we'll just throw up 10 minutes. Should put us at a good time point to leave a little bit of time for some questions and wrap up at the end. Play a little music, a little quieter this time because I know it was a little too loud last time. And if anyone wants to throw up their sign as they're going, maybe you switch to the grid view where you can see cameras, and you can hold up your sign that you're playing with and go from there. Just a little reminder, if you want to grab any of those assets I was talking about or want some links to share, acceptfacts.com. And if you're available around on first Friday in October, swing by the Athenaeum 5 to 8. I'm doing that show with a bunch of different protest signs and flyers and shirts and stickers and banners and all kinds of crazy stuff. Should be fun. Want to throw it back to Stark? You got some wrap-up stuff?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know we have only a couple minutes, so we will wrap up. But does anybody have any questions they might want to ask for Aaron?
Yeah.
I was going to say, if not, I for sure do have one. So I did want to ask, what's a good like first or maybe second step to get into marrying your design skills with protest art when you're starting to go out and share those?
Right on. Well, I mean, the beauty of the whole process is that if you can come up with some effective messaging, any of those techniques of creating a sign are so easy. The materials aren't expensive. The ability to print it off, slap it on a poster board, and even just stab it into your front yard. People that are driving by are going to see it. Yeah, I mean, I think the first step is just going for it.
Yeah, I think we for sure need to see someone's sign stabbed in their yard on the Slack channel
Yeah,
tomorrow.
right. I
That,
expect to see yard signs.
yeah,
Dig it. Nice.
awesome. Well, I'll say too that I know Aaron will be in on that on the Slack channel, so feel free to ask any more questions in through the Tuesday channel. And we'll share some of those links too. And I'll wrap up. Just want to say thank you, everyone here, for joining us and coming with materials. Thanks to Aaron as well and our volunteer team. Before we leave, though, I want to give one more shout out again to our sponsors for Midwest Design Week. Could not have done it without them. And make sure to follow the Slack for more info throughout the week. So we still have 3 more days. So super exciting. And we will see you all tomorrow and hope you enjoy your night. And then one last happy birthday to Aaron.
Hey, thanks.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, Aaron.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Happy birthday, Aaron.
No.
No.
Sorry I was late, guys, but I will definitely enjoy the video.